2018 Verizon Vikings training camp continues in Eagan. Our friend Peter King of NBC Sports has stopped by to check out the Minnesota Vikings. Peter, lots of talk already, a couple of weeks. Kirk Cousins, offensive line. But you're a great storyteller. Is there another story to tell about the Minnesota Vikings going into 2018?
I mean, I think something really interesting is how this team has tried to rebound from the NFC Championship game and address some of the problems they had in the championship game. And one of the things they've done a lot this offseason is look at every sort of iteration of the RPO, of the run-pass option, that the Philadelphia Eagles shredded them with, and at times in the NFC Championship game. Mike Zimmer has spent a lot of time talking to John DeFilippo about those principles, those tendencies. And I think one of the cool storylines is going to be when the Eagles play the Vikings. Mm-hmm. You've got a secret agent behind enemy lines, in DeFilippo. And what he can tell them about RPOs and about the strengths and weaknesses of both Wentz and Foles with it. So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing here I think Mike Zimmer really wanted a big body in the middle of his defensive line to work with Linval Joseph. Mm-hmm. And he wanted this big body to be able to penetrate, to be able to disrupt, and not just basically hold the line to stop the run. He wanted him to be a disruptive, almost like a three-technique guy. And I think they found that in Sheldon Richardson. Now, Bill Parcells used to say they don't sell insurance for this kind of stuff. And so I have no idea what Sheldon Richardson will show up. I mean, for a while with the Jets, he was one of the most disruptive players in the league. And then for a while, he wasn't. You would think he'd be out to reprove himself so he could get one more big contract in his career. But we'll see. But those are two things I find very interesting because I think they're going to have a big bearing on, when they play the Eagles, because the Eagles will do the RPO. They'll play the Bears twice. I was in Chicago. It's no secret. They're interested in the RPO, hiring Mark Helfrich as their offensive coordinator from Oregon. So, those are the kind of things that when I go to this training camp, I kind of look for.
Do you see the Vikings as a team that can maintain that chemistry and synergy from last season, but also recognize that it's a new season? You sat in Mike Zimmer's office and talked to him. I'm sure that came up in some form or fashion. And how do you think Mike Zimmer's doing that?
Well, the old Bill Parcells-ism that, you never pick up in the next season where you left off the previous season. And Mike Zimmer believes that stridently. Having said that, he also believes that you can get some positive lessons from things like how they played in the regular season, how they never gave up against New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they totally want to forget that, but I think their whole thing this year, think of the major changes when they step out there. It could be that, their two most important players on offense could be guys who weren't there for either all or most of last season, and Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. Right. Dalvin Cook, I think, is a tremendously interesting wild card player for this team this year because it's just my take on him. I look at him, and I think a lot of people look at him and see, an outside runner, a guy who can really make people miss outside. But if you look at some of the inside runs he made early last season before he got hurt, like in Pittsburgh, he made 2 or 3 runs where he was very, very hard to bring down. He is not a scat back by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm really curious to see, with a new offensive coordinator, how the newness is all kind of, installed and put into the offense so that it's even better than what they thought it was going to be at the beginning of last year.
How is football morning in America going?
It's going fine for me so far. I'm basically doing the same thing that I had done at Sports Illustrated. My column's a little bit different. I think graphically, and the presentation is a little bit more easy on the eye and good and attractive. But I've tried to add a few new elements. What I've learned from somebody around football about some aspect of the game that they've learned. I just did Tim Couch. What I learned about when a rookie quarterback should play.
Yeah.
I did Ben McAdoo. What I learned in my 2 years as head coach, and I'm doing that because like every year I try to add something to my column that will bring people a little bit more knowledge about the game that they all like. And so, but I'm enjoying it a lot so far, doing quite a lot of video work, doing a lot of television, a lot more television than I did, but so far it's all good.
Yeah, well, fans look forward to hearing from you in whatever medium it is, including some of your stories here from training camp. So you are a treasure for football fans, and it's a treat to talk to you. Thanks for your time, Peter.
Thank you very much, Mike.